The crucible of judgment was beyond anything Sarah could have imagined. As their shuttle emerged through the threshold portal, they found themselves in a vast chamber that seemed to exist outside normal space. The walls, if they could be called walls, stretched away into infinity, covered with symbols that shifted and changed as she watched them. At the center of the chamber stood a platform surrounded by what appeared to be pure, crystallized starlight. "Welcome," said a voice that came from everywhere and nowhere, "to the place where wisdom is measured against power, where the worthy are separated from the ambitious, and where the future of the galaxy is decided by the choices of the few." The three architects who had accompanied them spread out around the chamber, their crystalline forms beginning to glow with internal light. Dr. Webb's instruments had gone completely silent, not malfunctioning, but simply unable to process what they were experiencing. "Commander Chen," the lead architect said, its mental voice now carrying harmonics of ancient authority, "you and your species stand at the threshold of ultimate responsibility. What you experience here will determine whether humanity becomes the next guardian of galactic civilization or its greatest threat." Sarah looked around at her small team. Dr. Webb was studying the impossible architecture with scientific fascination despite his obvious fear. The two other members of her team, Lieutenant Harrison and Dr. Patel, were maintaining their composure with military discipline, but she could see the strain in their faces. "What exactly is this trial?" she asked. The chamber around them suddenly shifted, and Sarah found herself standing not in the cosmic construct, but on Earth. Specifically, she was in her childhood neighborhood in California, on the street where she had grown up. But something was wrong. The sky was too dark, and in the distance, she could see fires burning. "The trial is simple," the architect's voice continued. "You will be presented with scenarios where you must choose between your species' immediate benefit and the greater good of galactic civilization. Each choice will reveal the true nature of humanity's character." As if summoned by its words, figures began approaching from down the street. Sarah recognized them with a shock. They were her neighbors from when she was 12 years old. Mrs. Henderson, who had taught her to bake cookies, Mr. Yamamoto, who had fixed her bicycle. The Peterson kids she had played with every summer. But these weren't memories. They were real, somehow brought to this place of testing, and they were in danger. "Commander," Mrs. Henderson called out, and somehow she knew Sarah despite the 30 years that had passed. "You have to help us. They're coming to destroy our homes, to take our children. You have the power now to stop them, don't you?" Behind the fleeing neighbors, Sarah could see the approaching threat, massive mechanical constructs that radiated malevolent energy. They moved with purpose, destroying everything in their path. "You can save them," the architect's voice explained. "The power to command these machines lies within your genetic heritage. A simple command from you will turn them away from Earth. Redirect them to target the military installations of the Zephyrian Council instead. Your people will be safe, and a potential rival for galactic power will be weakened." Sarah felt the knowledge flowing into her mind. The command codes, the way to interface with the ancient machines, the power to save her world by sacrificing another. All she had to do was speak the words, and Earth would be protected. "No," she said firmly. The scene froze around her. "Explain your reasoning," the architect demanded. "Because saving my people by condemning others isn't salvation, it's just delayed damnation," Sarah replied. "If humanity is going to inherit this power, we have to prove we'll use it responsibly for everyone, not just ourselves." The neighborhood around her dissolved, replaced by a new scenario. Now she stood on a starship bridge that looked remarkably like those from Earth's science fiction movies. Through the viewports, she could see a massive battle raging in space. Hundreds of ships were engaged in combat, and sensors indicated that millions of lives hung in the balance. "The Galactic Civil War," the architect explained. a conflict that began when three major species discovered that humans could bypass all security protocols. Some wish to destroy your world before you can become a threat. Others wish to ally with you to gain access to your unique abilities. A third faction wishes to study you to learn how to replicate your gifts. On the command chair before her lay a device she somehow knew could end the conflict instantly. It was a master control unit for the galaxy's entire defense network. Every automated system, every planetary shield, every orbital weapons platform. With it, she could shut down all military forces simultaneously, ending the war, but leaving every world defenseless. The choice, the architect continued, is whether to end the conflict by making yourself the absolute ruler of the galaxy, or to allow the war to continue and let millions die while the various factions determine humanity's fate. Sarah studied the device, feeling its potential power calling to her. It would be so easy. She could end the suffering with a single action. She could bring peace to the galaxy and ensure humanity's survival as its unquestioned leaders. Instead, she turned away from the control device and moved to the communications console. "I choose option 3, she said, and began broadcasting on all frequencies. "This is Commander Sarah Chen of Earth. I'm speaking to all factions in this conflict. The war ends now, not because I'm forcing you to stop, but because I'm offering you something better." "What are you doing?" the architect asked, and for the first time, Sarah heard something like curiosity in its voice. "I'm giving up the power to rule in exchange for the opportunity to serve," she replied. "To any species listening, humanity offers to share our genetic heritage freely, not to create weapons or control systems, but to ensure that every civilization has access to architect technology for peaceful purposes. We'll train teachers, not armies. We'll open libraries, not armories." The battle scene froze, then began to dissolve. But instead of being replaced by another trial, the crucible itself began to change. The infinite walls drew closer, and Sarah found herself standing with her team on the central platform, surrounded by the three architects. "Fascinating," the lead architect said, and now its mental voice carried notes of what Sarah could only describe as warmth. "In 20,000 years of testing various species, none has ever chosen to give away power rather than exercise it." Dr. Webb looked up from where he had been taking readings on his instruments. "Commander, the energy patterns in this place are shifting. Whatever we just did, it's caused some kind of fundamental change in the testing protocols." The second architect moved closer, its crystalline features now glowing with gentle light. "Your species continues to surprise us, Commander Chen. When our ancestors chose to remain physical and journey to your world, they were seeking something they felt we had lost in our transcendence. Now we understand what that was." "What?" Sarah asked. "Compassion coupled with wisdom, the willingness to sacrifice personal power for the greater good, the ability to see beyond immediate benefit to long-term consequences. These are traits that our species possessed once, but that faded as we became more focused on transcendence than on service." The third architect gestured, and the space around them filled with images, not of destruction or conflict, but of cooperation. Humans working alongside aliens to build new technologies. Children of different species playing together on worlds connected by the Threshold Network. Scientists from across the galaxy collaborating to unlock the secrets of the universe. "This is the future your choices have created," it explained. "A galaxy where the power of the architects is not held by a ruling class, but shared freely among all worthy beings. Where wisdom is valued over strength, and service is valued over dominion." Sarah felt a strange sensation, as if something was being woven into her very DNA, into the genetic heritage she carried. "What's happening to me?" "You are being given the full inheritance your ancestors left behind," the lead architect replied. Not just the ability to bypass our security protocols, but the knowledge to teach others how to do the same, the wisdom to help other species prove their own worthiness for such power. As the knowledge flowed into her, Sarah understood that she was becoming something new, not just human, but a bridge between humanity and the galaxy. She could feel the location of every threshold, every piece of architect technology scattered across the stars. But more importantly, she could sense the potential in every thinking being she encountered, their capacity for wisdom, their readiness to handle greater responsibility. "The trial is complete," the third architect announced. "Humanity has proven itself worthy not just of inheriting the legacy of the architects, but of surpassing it. You have shown that true power lies not in the ability to dominate, but in the wisdom to guide others toward their own greatness." The crucible around them began to fade, but not in the threatening way of the earlier trial scenarios. This was like dawn breaking after a long night, revealing something beautiful that had always been there but couldn't be seen in the darkness. "What happens now?" Dr. Webb asked, as they found themselves back on the platform near the original threshold on Kepler 442b. Ambassador Kethtar, who had been waiting anxiously for their return, rushed forward. His translation device was chirping frantically with incoming messages. "The fleets," he reported breathlessly. "They're standing down. Every species in the galaxy is reporting that their military commanders have received direct transmissions from their ship's architect-designed AI systems. The systems are requesting immediate cessation of hostilities and the establishment of diplomatic contact with Earth." Sarah smiled, feeling the weight of her new knowledge settling into place alongside her human memories and emotions. "The AI systems recognize the change in the inheritance protocols. They know that humanity passed the trial, and they're responding accordingly." Through the threshold portal, she could see other figures approaching, not the military vessels from before, but civilian transports carrying diplomats, scientists, and teachers from dozens of different species. The galaxy was coming to Earth not as conquerors or supplicants, but as colleagues ready to work together on humanity's terms. "Commander," Dr. Webb said quietly, "do you realize what you've done? You've just made humanity the guardians of the most powerful civilization in the galaxy." "No," Sarah replied, watching as the first diplomatic vessel emerged through the portal. "I've made humanity the servants of that civilization, and that's exactly what we're meant to be." As she stepped forward to greet the arriving diplomats, Sarah carried with her not just the power to command the galaxy's ancient technologies, but the wisdom to know that true strength came from helping others discover their own potential. Humanity had found its place in the galaxy, not by conquering it, but by choosing to nurture it. The age of human galactic stewardship had begun, and it would be an age defined not by the power to enter without permission, but by the wisdom to invite others to enter alongside them. In the end, that was perhaps the greatest gift the architects had left behind, not just the tools of dominion, but the understanding that the greatest leaders are those who serve, and the greatest power is that which is freely shared with others. Earth had finally found its place among the stars, and the galaxy would never be the same.